Hello
J'ai compris.
welcome and welcome to this latest episode of the Hessian Scrum. Joining me today is a very special guest, Monsieur Philippe Langelier, who is from the Growler Choir, experimental death metal band Bukkake, and an infamous Canadian Idol contestant. Hello, Philippe.
What's up? Good evening, everybody.
All right, so start us off with your experimental death metal project Bukkake. Great name, by the way.
Thank you. I didn't choose it, but it went on to really fit the name. If you look at the fact that Bukkake means like a splash, like it's really just a splash in éclaboussure. So the style and the look was really a splash of a load of everything. So it's and I said the load, that was no pun intended. But it was just so it basically really fitted the band. Even though we spelled it differently so that people wouldn't fall on Japanese fucked up shit when searching for the band.
Nice. I mean, it's this very out there kind of project, and despite the funny name, it's fairly serious music. There is a real attempt,
fairly serious.
A real attempt at making something that's never been done before.
We tried the best we could because, like we said earlier when we started the discussion together, I live in Quebec, and in Canada we make, I would say, some of the greatest metal bands that are playing right now, and some old one. If you look at Cryptopsy or Martyr, Corvadis, and what's coming out right now, Beyond Creation, we have Brought by Pain or whatever else, Deviant Process. Quebec makes great death metal music, so yeah, we tried to get out of the lot and show ourselves and try to have people remember what we were doing. But yeah, that was a lot of fun for the time it lasted.
Yeah, because it ended in 2018, right? With the
2019, if I'm not 2000, like June 2019. Basically, there was a situation with the guitar player having a kid and doing like too fucked up of a band to have a family, so he just went like, okay, like let's just derive from that fucked up shit, and we just basically stopped the band. And with the pandemic, it was kind of a good thing in a sense. We just stopped everything at the same time, and a couple of months later, everybody stopped doing everything. So,
yeah. Are you in any other project like metal bands?
Metal band, yes and no. I tried starting something in at the end of 2019, but with the pandemic, we kind of like one of the guitar player in the band is works is a nurse, works in an hospital, and right now working in hospitals is like crazy. Less crazy, but still. So really busy stuff. So we didn't start really. We do have a couple of songs that already there's. He made a couple of songs. He made the music, did the drum. We're gonna have drummers record the songs, but at the moment it's kind of stagnant. And with the Growler Choir, where I'm working, I have a kid. I do a lot of other projects. I'm part of a collective called the Fabrique de Monstres. So we're basically 50. Right now, we're 15 metal singers doing creature and monster voices for video games and movies. So I have that also.
Oh,
I'm busy with that.
That's great. So do they use a lot of metal vocalists for?
But it's a new thing that just started. I would say the guy that started that with me. The guy that started that was Sébastien Croteau. Used to sing, still sing actually in a band called Necrotic Mutation. It's an old Quebec band, and basically started to do creature voices. I think in the beginning of 2003 or 4, whatever. I remember exactly the date. And he basically like realized that he's doing that a lot. It's really efficient, and the studio really liked that for movies and game. And he just said like, okay, if I had like let's say 10, 15 people doing that, we could probably do a lot of games and projects. So yeah, we started doing that. He got a couple of singers, and he's getting other singer from a lot of singers from different bands. So we're so that's one of the thing we have. So we're doing voices for games and movies. So a lot of games are not out yet, but we did a couple of Resident Evil, Assassin's Creed, stuff like that. So Assassin's Creed and what else? Sorry, just light up for no reason. What? So yeah, so I'm in that the collective doing creature voices for games that are not out yet, so I can't name any at the moment.
It was quite funny because I remember Mike Patton was like the first metal vocalist to kind of do that stuff. Because I remember he did stuff for some Xbox games.
When was that? Remember what game?
Dude, I There was too many games on that console for me to remember.
But depending on when he started, like Sebastien started that in the beginning of 2000, and he did a lot. Actually, been doing that for like nearly it's gotta be 20 years. So he started at the beginning of 2000. So but it's still that the beginning of the 2000s. They were still all the monster voices. They really wanted to like do this, not like digital work and like get sounds that do already exist and create their own stuff. But with the more and more games coming up, with more and more realistic graphics and more better at everything, I think going with like normal, like real voices that you can do a minimum modification on it. But I mean, you need a 3-second sound. You need to take a lot of different bits and work on it for it. And you're going to work a lot more hours for that 3-second, like just a hit or just a creature dying, than just ask a person to do it and just pitch shift it or slow it down, cut it off. So yeah, doing voices for games, metal singers were the new thing for that. We hope to be the full new thing for all games now.
I really hope so, because now that being a vocalist as well myself, and I've listened to a lot of extreme metal. Sometimes in movies you can just tell, okay, this is a guy talking normal voice. It's pitch shifted. It sounds fake.
It's horrible. And you look at the Lord of the Rings, especially like I do watch French movies. So when the English version's not so bad, but then you get the French version that's really horrible. So in the case of video games, if they're talking, it's kind of, if you go in the French version, sometimes the French version is so shitty. So that's a new thing, is we do also do the French like voiceover for some games that will need crazier voices. But yeah, I mean, it's still that the creature voices, when you're speaking, it's not as clear as just having a normal speaking voice, even if pitch it. So that's probably why it's not so common to have death metal singer doing that, because I mean, we're still like mumbling our words and trying to make it as evil as possible. So.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for those who are watching and who don't speak French, every single dub in a French movie, like the French version of a movie, just sounds like the most stereotypical Parisian ever. There's like no variations in accents and everything.
I don't see that much, because in Quebec there's a lot. It has to be translated in Quebec.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of versions that French people watch are sometimes translated in Quebec with the international French, because there's an international French and there's the French from France, but depends of Paris or whatever. And in Quebec, same thing. It's usually have international French, because our French, if you go with the Quebec one, it's still kind of fucked up. So it's people will just, it's like Belgians. Same thing. I lived in Belgium for like 5 years, and the French is, even though it's French, it's not the same thing. So yeah, the French is all different. So, but yeah, you hear a lot of Quebec people doing French voices in movies that you probably watch in France too.
Yeah. All right. So you're part of the Growlers Choir, which is kind of one of the craziest things. I remember seeing an article, I can't remember, it was like a lot of the big metal websites were going crazy over the ideas like 5-6 years ago.
But the Growlers Choir itself started in 2000. The first time we really popped up in the media was like in 2019, because we did our first show. It's funny, I've talked about Belgium. We actually did a festival in Montreal called the Vivier Canada Belgique. So it's a contemporary music festival. So there was, say, 1,000 people, but small festival, was one day, just one show, one event, and there were like people from Belgium, people from Quebec, and we were headlining that event on our first show. The whole band, or for the whole concept, started really in December of the year before. We started working on the song that we did in January. So it was really a work in progress. It's a concept from Pierre-Luc Sénécal, a guy that does study music in university, contemporary music, electronic music. And when he's a metal fan, and one day just went like, dude, a choir, because he is in a it's an improvisation kind of, used to be an impro vocal thing, like where you would have, let's say, 8 guys, a conductor. The conductor would do a crazy symbol. One symbol would be a sound. Let's say put his finger on the nose would be like, or just like, and then and crazy fart sounds and a lot of different crazy sounds with gesture. And it was like, okay, imagine that with growling sounds. And it just transformed into what we have now as the Growling Choir. We have like basically symbols for low growls, mid growls, high pitch, pick squeals, like zombie song. We also do throat singing. So we go, so that's a razor symbol. So you have the razor symbol for that type of throat singing, and then we have polyphonic sounds. So it's we have different symbol for different sounds. and we do have basically now we're just doing contemporary shows. It's really funny. We get paid a lot. They pay us for the show. They pay us for the rooms, the hotel. So it's really funny. It's really out of the metal community at the moment, even though we're basically 15 death metal singers in the project.
I mean, it's impressive. I mean, do you get like vocal coaching for that, or is it just like everyone comes with their own tools?
But we come initially with our own style, because basically there's no, without counting YouTube, there's no real school for death metal. We do have 2 people, 3 people, 4 in the Growling Choir that do a little vocal coaching for metal. The one of the singers, Sébastien Croteau, that started the Fabrique the most, was into the Growling Choir before. He did a lot of vocals for like 30 years, so he was coaching us on a lot of things. One of the growlers is also a conductor. He has a master's in music and conducting and composition. So he does a lot of coaching on articulating words and the way we say the syllables and the letters and the way we speak. So there's a lot about like not going to our old like bad habits of death metal singers to just growl the fuck we want. So we take Patrick, Pierre-Luc and him, they make I would always say that they really want the words to be heard, because they have a lot more power. In metal, we do have powers in the words, but the way we sing, sometimes we change it so it fits with the music. But for them, like the consonants, the vowels, the vowels are really important depending on the word. So they practice us to open up our mouth and replace our voice depending on what sound we make. So we do have a little coaching, and we're trying to homogenize the whole, because we're all singing different ways, and we start learning from each other. So when we started like 3 years ago, I was not doing throat singing when I started that, and then a couple of coaching about polyphonic sounds and throat singing. I just started that thing, and now I have my own solo in one of the songs of throat singing. So it really is we coach each other now by doing that all together. We learn from everybody's trick, everybody that we work from the pig squeals. I'm kind of a pig squeal master in Quebec, so I'm showing people how to do pig squeals and a lot of inhales, and now the throat singing is my new thing. So I bring that to the table a lot.
Yeah. So the Growler's Choir, do you have like predefined songs, or is it like sound painting?
The first one, basically, I would say we call it with like sound painting initially. So we did basically these ateliers, just basically workshops where Pierre-Luc was just testing a lot of different sounds, a lot of movements. When you have like the initial first project, we were 18. So with 18 singers, so you had different way of, you split that into 2 and 4 groups. So 2 groups, let's say group 1 and 2, and then the bass, the tenor, the sopranos, and the altos. There was a mix of of gender here. There was just not boys in the tenor, but the higher voices, the lower voices, and the mid and the really high. So now it's just split in the mid, lows, and high, but initially it was in 4. So we have 4 group, and then you have different like panning symbol. Like let's say, for example, everybody starts singing. So we're doing a gesture left to right to stop a person singing when I point at you, like so you have less people singing, and then you open it up, a different type of gesture. So we worked on a lot of that in workshops, and he was recording every workshop. He kind of created one of a long 20-minute audio track with our voices. And the initial project was started with a poet called Fortner Anderson, that he spoke with Fortner. He's like, dude, I have that concept. Fortner wrote a poem, a dark poem that was basically read during the whole 20-minute song. So we say part of the text, and he then Fortner was added to the project because he's also a poet that does I'm searching for the word, the performance in art in Montreal. So he read the script the text at the same time. So it's a mix of our voices and his voices, and it's a dialogue with the growlers and the narrator. And it was a mix of that. We had pre-chosen sounds and parts, but we still had a conductor calling us on the sounds and on the lows and the high and the pig squeal and all that, just to help follow. Now we have full on like musical part with notes I had to take music classes. I'm a death metal singer. We're just following blast beat and doing pig noises. So now we had to take music class, and majority of the growlers had to take music class to be able to read full on parts, real music sheets. Still, there's no notes. The notes are lows, mid, growls, but we have to follow the proper tempo and the proper, like if it's in cush and noir and whatever was written on the sheets, that we had to learn their value was on the sur une portée. So that was it. So everything is now preconceived. We have a song 8 machine. If you go on Bandcamp, you can, that song is really more of a death metal song. So yes, there's a full on track. We know what to sing, and it's low growls, whatever. It's a full on song, but with 15 singer.
That's really interesting because metal vocals initially, it was something that could only be used within metal. If you start screaming in the middle of the streets, people aren't saying, "Oh, he's singing a lovely song." This guy's having a heart attack. And do you think, because what you're doing essentially is taking like metal vocals and bringing them to the outside world? Do you think there's a lot of potential there?
But I mean, with what we're doing with the growlers is still with the, let's say, the Fabrique de Monstres, with the monster voices. It's really something that people have been heard for years. Like in movies, it's not different. It's just that it's a new way of bringing it. In the case of the Growlers Choir, I would say we're bringing it to not really to the outside, because it's really in the world of contemporary music where people are used to just listen to people breaking glass while cutting themselves, while somebody's playing the trumpet with their ass, or like really, I'm saying that and it's not even weird. It's, I mean, the contemporary music is real fucked up shit. That's really, metal is fucked up, but there's a structure that contemporary music, as there is a structure, that structure was put in a blender and just based on something. So I mean, when we did the show in 2019, there was a full orchestra that, like, full orchestra, like a small orchestra that was trombones, there were cellos, trumpets, there were a couple of instruments, about like a 20, like the 15 piece orchestra. And I was like, okay, they're gonna do music. Dude, that was nearly death metal, because technical, extreme, progressive, post nihilistic death metal. It was fucked up, man. The singer that was dressed like a crazy circus conductor, those guys with the top hat, like all in glitter and red and half red, half yellow, with a switchy mustache. He was doing like I was like, what? But tight as fuck. And that thing was changing every second. It was really technical, but was horrible to listen to. So it's not really the outside world. It's just like another bubble of fucked up people. That's what I see at the moment. But yes, we seem to be more open to go to a contemporary festival than to just do like underground death metal shows. So it's a little opening. We're starting to get into the real world, but I mean, it's still still an underground area of music. There, like independent, like contemporary music is still as fucked up as metal. So.
You made a really interesting point, right? Because metal has always been very structured. I think no matter what the subgenre, everyone has to know exactly what they're doing at the same time. There's no room for improvisation in a live setting.
Rare bands do it. Yeah. Really rare bands.
But now we're starting to see it a bit more, the atmospheric death metal stuff and kind of stuff where a lot of free jazz influence and all that. I mean, you've seen the contemporary and the metal world. Do you think that improvisation and kind of like breaking out of the norms is the way to move metal forwards?
I mean, the thing is the improvisation, you'll have that, let's say, while you're recording, but I mean, metal people, they want to see live what they hear on an album. So yeah, you can improvise a solo while you're recording, but live people want to hear the whole thing. I used to be also but after doing Canadian Idol, I was a judge in a contest in Montreal that was called Metal Academy. So it was like a Star Academy, Canadian Idol type of thing. There were like 6 bands a night for like 6 nights. Then at the end, I mean, there's a winner, and that winner won like instruments or money or whatever. I don't remember. We did like 7 edition of that. I mean, we had a trash metal band that did impro. I mean, Slayer, for my part, is half intro, half improvisation. I'm sorry, people that don't like Slayer. So the solo looks to be always improvised, and they improvised like 40 minutes of crap. It was horrible. Like they were supposed to, no, about 20 minutes, because their set was nearly finished, and they improvised something for like 15 minutes. I did see a couple of improv band into the grindcore scene in Montreal. I once did a show with a band that improvised the whole thing. There was a guitar player and the drummer, and everybody could jump on stage and sing. and they were just improvising stuff. It was fucked up. It was funny because me and my guitar player went and sang, and we played we went on stage. Everybody could go on stage, just shit on stage. So that was it. I think in the grindcore fucked up noise style, you could have Impro live and people will accept it. They're probably not bands that would really do albums. So I mean, I don't see it being something that will come in, that will stay in metal, that will be in metal, because we like to write our song, know our stuff, and like make sure everything's structured. But there is obviously styles or bands that will do it, but I don't think it's going to be a norm in metal. I don't think so.
Yeah,
I'd be
man.
surprised.
I hope not, honestly. You know, a lot of
Me
time
neither.
it's terrible.
You need to be a fucking genius to really like improvise like a song and it makes sense. Like, I mean, every musician has a little microphone and like, okay, I'm gonna change beat now. Okay, guys, we change beat. Yeah, that, I mean, or even feeling the song, I don't think it will fit. I won't think that will happen ever.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's talk a bit about Canadian Idol and the absolute insanity that it was. You know, for people who don't know, I'm going to put a link in the description. Philippe here, because you know there have been a lot of metal singers on all these kind of idol shows, but every single one of them seemed to have problems. You went there and you actually did your thing completely seriously and gave a great performance.
Thank you.
So tell us about how did that happen? How did you get there? What the hell happened?
Well, basically, I was actually in 2008. It was the last year Canadian Idol, basically. And my brother is an opera singer / power metal singer. At the time, he was more of a power metal singer. And we just went there to chill out, like go with him, because the whole, if people don't know or never really heard of those, they basically have a 2, 3, or 4-step selection program. The way they work, if they don't like, not everybody could just got to line up, goes in front of the judges. Judges would just kill themselves. So the way they were doing it for Canadian Idol is they were on a big place. They would auditioning people, a bunch of 10 people with 2 groups of selection. So basically everybody was just waiting in line. There was about 5,000 people the first day in Montreal, and the second day was about 3,000 or 4,000 something. So basically they go through a bunch of 10 people at a time. You just go, you sing your song. For my part, it was 2 girls, super nice. What's up? Welcome to Canadian Idol, man. I'm Julie. I'm Stephanie. Let's have fun. Woohoo! They're super nice. They're a bunch of 10 people. Everybody like just one step front, sing their song. Okay, you can't stop. Boom, boom, boom. Everybody sings after like, okay, you stay. You get the fuck out. Then you go and meet the producer, and then the producer tell you, okay, just do this and that. Oh yeah, it's okay for your shit. Okay, here's your number, and then you go see the judges. So in my case, my brother wanted to go there. I went there with him, and while I'm waiting, I'm like, dude, I'm so gonna sing a song. I had a song in mind. Initially, I wanted to sing like, I think it was Brian Adam, or something stupid like that. But then I went like full on singing Manowar song in front of the pre-judges. So I sing the pre-judges. They're like, okay, we fucking love you. And at that time, I was a porn distributor. I was like selling porn to sex shop. I was a distributor of porn. So basically I had a full-on job doing porn distribution. They knew I was a death metal singer. I told them. So the little girls, they were like, okay, you're fucked up. Your parents are opera singer. Okay, we want you. So then I go meet the producer, and they bring me to the to see the judges. So that's basically, I did the pre-audition on Saturday, and the judges was on the Monday. So yeah, I went there with my dad, obviously, because my dad, he was not supposed to be coming in, but it's just like when you get pre-selected, they give you like a huge Bible of about 6,000 or 7,000 songs, and you need to choose 5 from those, so that if you want to be on TV, they have the rights for it. Obviously, Dimmu Borgir, the song Progenies of the Great Apocalypse, was not in the list, but I chose 5 songs. At the time, I chose You Raise Me Up from Josh Groban, Can You Feel the Love Tonight from Elton John, The Phantom of the Opera. I had also Winds of Change from Scorpion, and what's the last? I don't remember the 5th one, but I learned those 5 songs on the Sunday, because I didn't know the lyrics of none of those songs. I have heard the songs or sung Rings of Change or Phantom of the Opera a couple of times, but for fun, but never like full on in front of you. So I had to learn 5 songs to be sure that if they asked me to sing another song, that I would sing that other song and be on TV. So then on the morning, We go in at 6:30 in the morning. We were 250 pre-selected, 350 pre-selected people from the first day, and there was 200 something on the next day. I don't remember. About between 200 and 300 people per day were selected. So the first day was on the first day. So basically, I was there at 6:30, and I probably went through in front of the judges at about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So a long fucking day. So when I come in, I did sing "You Raise Me Up" from Judge Groban, or the Celtic Sister, the real version, I think.
Yeah.
So I sang that. After that, basically they had a sheet with my name and they knew what I was. So they knew I was a death metal singer. That's why they asked me to sing death metal, not preparing myself to sing death metal. First song that popped up was Progenies of the Great Apocalypse, a song that's not too fast, easy for me to change and do different vocals on it. So I improvised a line of vocal for them. Dude, that Sass Jordan, the little blonde girl in the video, like wanted my balls, man. She liked it. She was like, "Oh my god, it's so nice. How did you do that?" So basically, before you see my dad coming into the video, I spoke with them for like 15, 20 minutes. They're like, "Okay, blah, 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 blah. Oh, your dad's an opera singer. Do you think he would like to come?" Boom. And then you see it. We sing. He sings alone. The song El Sole Mio completely. Then they ask us, like, "You want to do it together?" We do it together. They edited that 35-minute in front of the judges into a 2-minute, 30-second video, I think. About 2 or 3 minutes. So basically, yeah, I sung more than one song in front of the judges. So again, I went top 200. So probably the first metal guy that went top 200, or that went one step further into one of those idol show before everybody else, because there was nobody else that really succeeded in those things. Now we have, I don't know if you saw from Montreal, but we have The Voice in Montreal, and a guy I know did Necrophagist and went through to The Voice to the second and third round. To The Voice, doing Necrophagist the first time. Second song, he sung "Born to Be Wild," I think, and then he sung a song from his band, Incandescence. Then he was eliminated after that song, but it was a full-on black metal song on his third try. It was kind of cool. But yeah, that was the first one of the metal people trying that stuff to go further and to be noticed a little. But then the top 200 was just bullshit. So I didn't go further. I was just disqualified because it made no sense for them to have that metal guy there. But it was still fun.
I mean, it was great because there were some crazy guys where you could like who did it before you, and you could tell that they weren't right in their head,
but they were, because they were seriously thinking they were going through with, because they just did metal voice. I didn't go and sing death metal. I went and sung "You Raise Me Up" from Josh Groban. I mean, I sung a classic, like, with normal singing. They asked me to do death metal, so I was like, okay, if you want me to try that shit, I'll do it. But yeah, it was just I didn't go there to do death metal, so that's the stupid part. If you go there to that death metal, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You know they won't take you. But I didn't go for that, and that's what they left, basically, me and my dad. But me and my dad singing opera and metal, that was kind of epic at the time. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. I mean, that really was a very funny video, and if anyone watching it, you need to see this video. It's absolutely epic.
I'm surprised it stagnated at about 700 views, 700,000 views on YouTube. I hope one day would have gone and passed 1 million. I'm not making the money on it because basically it's not my channel. Yeah, but still.
Yeah, I was shocked when I saw 700K. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, everyone I knew was like, wait, that's the Quebec metal guy, because I remember seeing a video of you on YouTube hitting a drum and playing with your hands, playing like a blast beat.
No, with a vibrator. Yeah. You saw that?
Yeah,
dude, that's funny because I put that on my Facebook, because with Bukaki, basically we had on the 2 albums we had a 45-second song. So the first song, when I started in the band, we had the idea of basically playing that song with a vibrator because it was really porno oriented when I started the band. So I was working in sex shop also after doing porn distribution, and worked in sex shops. So I just went with the best anal vibrator dildo that really didn't look like a dick, with just like a missile with a handle on it that was strong enough to do blast beat and do epic gravity blast. That shit worked. The drummer was didn't really like it, so we never used it live. But my video was picked up by a fucking Russian that took my video from my Facebook, not YouTube. From my fucking Facebook, uploaded to YouTube, and did a load of views, all Russian comments. I'm like, what the fuck? That guy got, I think, 16,000 or 20,000 views. with me playing vibrator. I didn't ask him to delete it because it was kind of funny. I was like, okay, it's on YouTube. It's funny. Yes, I'm playing a vibrator with my fucking 2-year-old son at the time beside me, just like, what the fuck is that? And me just playing with a dildo. It's kind of funny. But yeah, you saw that, and then with so
Yeah.
you told.
Yeah, you had a bit of popularity in France. I think in the French-speaking metal world, at least, a lot of people knew who you were.
Oh, that's nice. Never was invited in France with that, but still, thank you to reach me for this.
Yeah, dude. I think the French are sometimes jealous because all good death metal tends to come from Quebec a lot of the time.
But it's funny you say that because basically with Bukaki, the two only full-on tours we did were with Gorod and Benighted, like two French bands. So my first full-on tour, like 24 dates in a row, was in 2015 with Benighted. Awesome guys. Shout out to Benighted. And then after that was Gorod. So that's funny you say that because basically the guys in my band are like, hey, Gorod's this shit. I'm like, yeah. Didn't know them really a lot when I toured with them. They're awesome guys. So yeah, we tour with French band. What else? We were supposed to tour with Edius Divinity at some point also, but that when the band broke up, so that didn't happen.
That's insane.
We also toured a couple of shows with Kronos. So 3 French bands. So don't say that. French people, you have great death metal bands. I was a big fan of Anorexia Nervosa, that rip Anorexia.
Yeah.
My part, that was one and I'm a big fan of Adagio, even though last album I'm not a big fan of. But yeah, I like a lot of French bands. Heavenly, I'm a fan of power metal also. So Heavenly, Adagio, those are bands I love. So France, you have your shit. Misanthrope, man. Misanthrope was awesome.
Great band, yeah, great band.
Man, that band was we were a fan of Manigance.
Yeah.
So so French people, you have great bands. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, we can't deny. We had some great stuff, especially a lot of black metal, some really cool death metal.
Yeah. I mean, the world has great bands. I don't know a country that has really just shitty bands. I mean, all countries have shitty bands, and I live in Montreal, so we have as much, if not more, shitty bands that we have great bands. But I mean, I think every country that do have metal, they do have all great bands, and not just shitty bands. I think I listen to, I know there's countries I don't have any bands from. I mean, I have bands from every country in my playlist for a lot of countries. So it's, but yeah, Quebec is special.
Yeah, it really is. All right, one thing that's funny is that you said both your parents are opera singers, and you sing extreme metal.
Yeah, but the thing, and my brother was an opera singer, a power metal singer before jumping to opera, even though the jump is easier.
Yeah.
And now he doesn't do none of that. He's basically he's a palefrenier. He's a groom. He has he bought a farm and he has horses and he's taking care of the horses. So he's not nor a glam power metal singer nor a glam opera singer. He's just like a horse groom. But yeah, no. The thing is, I was really young. I was really how did I say that? I have that on the tip of my like the horror, the blood, guts, and all that shit really attracted me really, really early on. So basically, when I was young, like 4 or 5 years old, was drawing like gore and shit like that. So I had the voices and the monsters. I really, it was easy for me to make crazy voices and play with my toys, and I always did that. So metal was just, I mean, I'm 40 years old. Metal was changing in the 90s. So when I started listening to metal, I was like Megadeth or Metallica, Black Album. Woo! No, I'm joking. That's probably like the first stuff I was listening to. I don't listen to it anymore. But I mean, Megadeth was like my first big real metal band, and then Manowar, and I went into power metal. So Blind Guardian, Manowar, and then Deicide was like just like a revelation, and then Cradle of Filth, Demon Borgir, Immortal, like the black metal, and then Living in Montreal, Cryptopsy, Covetus, all those bands in 94, 5, 6, just basically merged. So it was easy for me. And my cousin was a drummer for a band called Bar for Blasting Out Rotten Fuckers. So they did a lot of shows having those bands, Cryptopsy and Covetus and Godinetic and Neuraxis opening for them. So I saw those bands. So I mean, the jump was easy. I like blood and guts, and my cousin was into metal, so it just like it was easy to go. And opera is not so bad because I saw my dad die on stage like probably 15 times in different operas because always the tenor's always the one getting killed. So the metal was the closest from that without going into opera. So I didn't want to work too much. And when you're doing opera, you have to work and learn and music and all. And now I regret it because I would have been rich. But so yeah, it's funny that I have an art degree. I started my main thing was painting and drawing and makeup and stuff like that. So the metal was just a sideline, and now I do more with my voice than I thought I was going to do.
Yeah, you've done power metal covers recently, and
yeah,
looks like you can actually sing as well.
I can. I try. The thing is, I think my main issue with my power metal covers is I'm recording myself, and I started all learning that recording, audio editing, After Effect, Premiere, all that shit. I started using that and learning all those in March this year. So like an idiot that didn't record myself for years because I had a guitar player doing that. So I'm just starting recording myself, and it's a lot more complicated than I thought it would be. So yeah, I have a little recording mistakes, and you don't concentrate the same. So it would be easier for me if I had somebody recording me. It props my cover would sound a little better, and my singing would probably be better. But yeah, I think I'm not so bad. I'm working on it. It's a hobby, and I'm trying to. Right now, I'm kind of tired of doing death metal, so I want to go to the power metal without full on going to the power metal because I don't see myself wearing like the power metal. I don't have the power metal look. So that's the thing. So that's why I'm not doing that, or I didn't do that before recently.
Yeah. So let's go through your extreme vocal style. You're very articulate,
versatile.
Yeah, exactly. Very versatile. A lot of inhales mixed, but you go from inhale to exhale very quickly.
Yes. Because I'm fat and I need to breathe while I sing. So basically, but it's not really a joke. It's actually I started like doing like we'll call it like real singing, like death metal singing, real vocals. 2000 that I really like when like I was always singing whatever the fuck I was listening to like in the 90s, but really like I want to be a metal singer in 2000. One of my friends met a guy, gave us a song with no vocals on it. And one day with my friend, we just put like the CD and then took a tape cassette and press play. So you heard the songs playing, and we were just like doing vocals on it and doing the inhales for high pitch or even for lower growls, mixing with the XL for lower growls or high, just going both ways to do everything. Just went naturally. I just didn't ask myself like, can I sing while inhaling? I just did it. So yeah, and it was good because basically on stage sometimes it's super fast and you need to change voices and whole long notes or screams, and inhaling was just the best because it was just taking air in and then exhaling out whatever the fuck I wanted to do after. So it was just because I had the cardio of a potato, it was easy for me to just do both. So now I work a little more in my Excel for a lot of different things because I didn't do really of that that mellow, that high pitch vocals. I didn't do that much, and now I'm doing a lot more of that with the Growler Choir. So I'm working on those XL vocals because the inhales, they do have a specific sounds, even though I can make it sound all different ways. It does have that kind of grain that is different from an XL high pitch or mid growls. So I'm working on adding more tools to my vocals, to my XL. But yeah, I do a lot of inhales for big squeal, low and high and mid high and whatever the fuck I need to do. I do a lot of different shit. So yeah, and inhale is that to do a big squeal, you need a real big with inhale. So why not doing it myself?
So tell us, one thing that kind of annoys me with metal vocals nowadays, everyone is starting to sound more and more the same.
But it's just that right now you hear more and more bands, and you have more and more tutorial on YouTube, and people, and it was always the way we learned singing, and it's like that for everybody. I mean, you see drummers now playing Archspire, they're like 24 years old. I'm like, what the fuck, man? They're playing that fast now. How would it be in 10 years? So everybody's imitating what they hear. So yeah, there's always a trend on different vocals. For my part, I don't think everybody sounds the same, but yeah, there is trends that you do see depending on the style. There's always bands that are kind of generic, but then you have bands that pop out with different type of vocals. So yeah, I mean, if they sound the same, if it's metal, for my part, it's okay.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I just kind of personally hate that everyone sounds the same. You know, first you had like the Black the Liar Murder, and he had that very thin, very high pitched voice. I was like, you knew it was him. And then after that, you know, there were quite a lot of bands who took that style, and you know, it's like, okay, it's not quite him, but it.
Like the thing, I understand what you're saying. It's just that it's like, name me like 5 bands that you think that sound the same. We'll deconstruct the whole thing.
Vocally,
yeah, let's say vocally, see, all the bands sound the same. Like, tell me 5 bands that like you could not discern which band is which by the singer because they're all technically sound the same.
The slam bands like Autopsy, fuck, I can't remember, Waking the Cadaver.
But you're in the style that's really extremely precise. Like, I mean, yes, I understand the case of the slam band, but for my part, there's different type of slam band. There's the one that they don't care about the recording. It's just shitty, gory cover and shitty, gory lyrics and shitty, gory band name. Everything sounds the crap, and the singer has his microphone up his ass. And then you have the band that sound a little better. You know, I started listening to slam death metal really late. And band like Abominable Putridity have crazy vocals. Right now from Montreal, there's a band Necrotic Beast with the Bukkake drummer in it. It's really, they took all the nice parts of the slam and they just like made a new slam band. But yes, it's a genre that's right now a la mode. Yeah. So yes, people are imitating vocal. I recently did one song with Necrotic Beast that's coming up on another album. I don't know when. And I got the vocal tracks from the singer, and it's really different from doing full-on death metal or what I was doing with Bukkake. It's really like it's not no concentration on the power, but just on the weird sounds. With Bukkake, I was often like I wanted as much power and making it really a vocal and a way of singing than just making it a sound. So like, so yes, that's the thing with slam. Yes, they do sound a little the same, but it's still fun to listen to.
it is fun music. I mean,
but it's same thing for black metal. I think there's a lot of black metal that if you're not like listening to, like, I mean, Marduk had a different sound. Cradle, Dimmu Borgir, Emperor, they had a different sound, and then you had all the others. Even Dark Funeral, if you listen to Dark Funeral, Ceterial, or Set, they sound kind of, it's the same type of black metal. Like black metal is really the style, for my part, that is as all the same as slam. Slam is the black metal of death metal, if you look at it. Basically, it's just that it goes on. You look at what, if you want it to be pure slam band, then you know what type of vocal you need to have if you wanted to have a pure slam band. So that's, I think that's why they sound the same.
But you know, in black metal, you get a lot of original guys. I mean, Attila Chiar from Mayhem sounds like no one ever.
It sounds like shit.
You don't like it?
Yeah, I know. I mean, Burzum also, but I mean, it's just it sounds like shit. I mean, if you want to sound well, you'll go with what you hear that sound well. I mean, I'm a big fan of Nagelfar. That even though they don't consider themselves black metal, but Diabolical as one of the best black metal sound ever, even though they call it themselves death metal. But I mean, the vocal is fucking awesome, but it's black metal as fuck. I mean, Mayhem, even though it's true black metal, didn't have as much of a, you know, that black metal sound, man, that we like from Dark Funeral and Nagelfar, and it's yeah, I mean, sounding different. It depends also on the engineer, probably, because there's some slam band that don't have good quality, that don't sound necessarily the same because they have a shitty quality.
I mean, yeah, I think, you know, extreme metal vocals are so difficult, you know, to process in the studio that the engineer has a huge effect on them.
Dude, tell me. That's the first thing I fucking started when I started recording myself this year, was like, why is it so hard? Because basically, if you're doing low voice in my part, my lows are not that, they're not strong. They're really strong. My lows are strong, but my inhale are fucking a lot stronger. So if I want a good inhale, I have to like get in the back of the room so it doesn't peak out.
Yeah.
And I don't know shit about engineering. So people are like, yeah, get a compressor. Yeah, but I didn't know it was like putting a compressor in my fucking DAW. Now I know a little more, but yeah, it's depending on how you're singing, it's getting more and more complicated because yeah, if you sound well with no microphone in a good room, but that's the room making the good sound, and the microphone sounds like shit. So you need to process a certain way. Yeah, exactly. Like singing extreme vocals, you think it sounds good, then you re-listen to it and you're like, it sounds like shit. So then you do a lot of layering, and then you put that effect and this and that, and it sounds okay. But then you put the music on, it's like, oh, that's not so bad. And I mean, it's complicated. Even clean vocals, it's not that easy to have a good sound.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Glenn Benton, because he always did the high-low thing very early, so that the engineers are like a Morris sound, like apparently because the high voice and the low voice were completely different in power and pitch and everything. So they had to change setups for Benton because of how different
it is. For my part, it's a change setup every time I go from a high pitch to a low. So now the best is really to move around from the mic. So you said something that you can do your lows not too far away from your mic, and I get back a little far in my inhale or just tilt my head a little. Then if you want to go with really low, like slam lows, you get a little closer. And then if I do a big squeal, I need to get a lot farther away because it's a lot like louder. And I mean, it's move around, or you just play with your gain yourself, and it's really not the thing to do, or really know how to use a fucking compressor and you have no problem. But I'm still not used to do that, so I'm moving around singing like this. That's fucked up. And doing video editing is so much easier than fucking sound. I didn't know it was going to be that complicated. But it's and I worked with Chris Donaldson on recording my vocals for the second album, Bukaki. And it was complicated because it didn't sound like I wanted. So you think you sound away, and you work with somebody, it works well. With this Bukaki guitar player, we did the first album, it sounded like I wanted. The new album with Chris Donaldson, it sounded like I wanted, but the first try was not the same. I mean, it's a lot of trial and error, and also work on yourself to adjust yourself to the recording. That's also another good thing.
All right. So, I've got a final question for you. Cupping the mic, yes or no?
It depends on on the recording. No, I tried it for the song I recorded with Necrotic Gorbeast just once. I wanted to have, and no, not for me. I would say I am too powerful to cup the mic. Live, it depends on you hold your mic. So basically, singing and cupping the mic on stage. If I have a microphone, I'll show you what I think would be cupping and what I think would not be cupping. Because there's also different ways of holding the microphone. People will say it's cupping. Okay. That is cupping the mic, obviously. Yeah. That's stupid. When I hold my microphone, I always hold it like this. Because when I'm singing, I sometimes hit myself with the microphone. So I always have a finger to like protect myself. But I don't think that's cupping, even though you need to have like a singing like this. I mean, you say whatever, even if you do extreme brutal shit, you don't feel it. You don't feel nice holding the mic like this. Like this is a lot better. I think putting your hand close to the whole thing is a lot better than just going like. No, I don't. No, it doesn't fit.
Yeah, I mean,
so we need to invent a mic for death metal singer that we look like we're cupping, but we're not.
Because that's an SM58, right? You've got that.
Yeah, because
dude, I use that live, and how many times I've hit my teeth against the thing, and it's so hard, it hurts so much.
Finger, man, my finger is there for this because I do still sing loud enough so I don't have to close, but it's that close. But when you don't hear yourself, sometimes you think it doesn't go through, so you just get closer and then you hit yourself. But I used to wear a lot of crazy masks and everything, so like having my microphone close to my face make more sense on stage. But just thinking about it, my teeth are just, I'm like, oh fuck.
Oh man, oof! If you just touch the mic, if anyone who's never heard of the SM58, I know what it's like. It feels like a diamond. It's
dude, painful. Man, my teeth are like, I feel them. But I mean, cupping the mic for recording, I've seen a lot of people like cupping. If you look at don't know if you know the channel Carnivox, they interview, they do a reaction video of singers, videos, but the guy's a singer from Varamia, and he interviewed the guy from Like he did a reaction video to Infant Annihilator with the guy from Infant Annihilator, and he was showing like how he does his crazy vocals, and sometimes he does cup the mic, and it does crazy sounds. And if you want to do crazy sounds, cupping the mic on studio is not a bad idea because you can have crazier sounds and crazier shit. I'm not a big fan of that because I want to do real singing. Because they're doing that's not singing, but people do that. I do know band that that's fucking stupid. But it is cool. It is cool on an album, but it's not singing. So yeah, cupping the mic to do stuff like that is okay. But I mean, if you want to full on sing and then put power, and I'm happy I always put power as much as possible because right now with the Growling Choir, we're basically practicing with no microphone. Some of our shows are with no microphone. We did a show in June 2021 in a church. We did a show in the church with a full live classical choir. So the first ever classical choir and death metal choir. And one we did our song from the Growling Choir called Day King. That's 20 minutes. You can see that online.
Yeah, I found it.
Another track called Ultimatum. That's a 30-minute song in 5 parts. It's long as fuck. That shit is that thick. And it was with a real classic choir. So we had no microphones. It was all like full on power in a church. That was like you can't be just a slam death metal singer and do that because nobody would hear you. So like I'm happy I always put power because I would have been people wouldn't hear me in that show. That I would have been a silent face.
All right, that leads me to, to one final point. That's something I've really started to hate with a lot of modern bands where power is no longer something that's wanted. Everyone's trying to make, a lot of people trying to make brutal sounds or whatever, but they're giving away, the real singing. A lot of the first death metal guys, they were playing, they couldn't hold the mic because they had the guitar, you really had to push it out.
But it was the technique but you said everybody sounds the same now because basically we went from like the singers had no technique to sing. They were just going like, I can't sing like fucking dudes from the 80s because they were not really using their vocals. I mean, they could not have a death metal voice and basically whisper or just speak with a death metal voice because it was just a load of hair being pushed out super fast. I see that with some of the black metal singers sometimes that they do have a great high pitch, but their lows are just like, ooh, and it's shitty. Compared to, let's say, if you go like, if I speak like that, I'm using the proper part of my throat to make the vocals. And then when you put more power, it sounds better. So yeah, use like less power, more sounds, just because we know it's pointless to fucking scream our ass off in the microphone when people just want to hear a really low growl or crazy sounds like we said before.
Yeah.
It's just that on CD it's not necessary. If they can do it live and it just pops out live, it's okay. But I mean, same thing in opera. Opera before was just power. My dad can sing, man. I mean, I've seen my dad sing in front of 90-piece orchestra in front of 200 a choir of 200 people, and I was hearing my dad over those people, even 100 feet from him, because his voice goes and expands after 50 feet. Like after 50 feet, then it gets bigger. That's opera because they used to sing with no microphones.
Yeah.
My brother being let's say a new generation opera singer, that they do a lot now of let's say they are at the movie theaters, you can go see an opera. So there's more dynamics. They don't have to be full power at all time because they do a little more piano voices that don't need to be a loud piano voices. It can just be a real piano voices, a real piano voice, because they have or a microphone on stage that will pick up what's happening on stage that goes out of PA, even though they're singing loudly when they have to sing loudly, their softer voice will be picked up compared to, let's say, 100 years ago when what's his name? When they started recording the first vinyl, it was only, what's his name? An opera singer was in the 1900s. Corelli. That was the only one that could be on a vinyl because he was the only one singing loud enough to be heard and to be picked up by the recording system that was probably a fucking gramophone. It was not. Now we don't need to be super loud to be heard because we have all the proper stuff. When you have the movie theater watching the Met, you don't need to be as loud because there's microphone. There's a different way of. So I think now it's the technology and the style and the technique that changed, bringing new voices, new sounds. So power was not necessary. It's not necessary anymore, even though power sometimes brings you other sounds that no power can't give you. But I think it's just the technique, the styles that create. There's still people that they just work on power, but they're not that versatile. If you look at fucking Ollie from Arspire, it's not powerful. It's just fast as fuck.
Yeah.
But that guy in a room wouldn't necessarily be heard that much as, let's say, a full-on inhale that would do, or a big squeal, because it's like super, super loud. It's pointless to be that loud, but I mean, I think the styles and the technology have changed that. I love Arspire, by the way. New album's gonna kick ass.
All right. Any final words?
Like I say at the end of my video, stay metal.
All right. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure, Nick.